Let's break down the 7 most critical goals you should be focusing on in your 50s. If you don't nail these things, you are not going to be ready for retirement. Now, the first group of goals is focused on financial targets you should be hitting, and the second group is a mindset change to prepare for the wonderful retirement you've earned. You may have heard the phrase cash is king, and when you're getting closer to retirement, that's especially true. The first goal is building a war chest. Now, by most definitions, a war chest is simply a metaphor for a collection of money that's intended to be used during a very challenging or difficult situation. And when you're in your 50s, you're in your prime savings years, but I'd venture to say you're also in your prime spending years. And this is a time when you're probably at your peak earnings, but you still also have the energy to do a lot of traveling and home renovations, things that you may not have been able to do when you're in your 30s or 40s. So if you're in your 50s, you should have a goal of maintaining no less than 3 to 6 months worth of expenditures in a savings account, but not just any type of savings account. You really should be using like a high yield savings account. And at the time of this recording here in early 2024, you can earn anywhere between 4 to 5% on your cash savings. If you're not earning this amount of interest on your cash, you're simply leaving money on the table. Now, if you have 100% of your investment money in retirement accounts like a 401k, IRA, or Roth IRA, I venture to say that can be a massive mistake. And that's why the second goal is having investments outside of retirement accounts. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wait, Alex, I've been told my whole life to put money into my 401k because I can get a tax deduction and it's gonna help me out for the future. And that's all correct, but the problem is too many people put all of their money inside retirement accounts like their 401k or IRA. So after they're done maxing out their retirement accounts, they have nothing left over to put inside of a non-retirement account. And again, when I'm talking about a non-retirement account, I'm simply referring to an investment account that is not an IRA or retirement plan at work. So these are commonly referred to as brokerage accounts. And you can really put as much money into the account as you want, and you can take money out of the account whenever you want without penalty. But here's why this is so important. If all your money is inside only retirement accounts, you are severely limiting your flexibility in the future. So for example, any withdrawals out of a retirement account before age 59 and a half will cause you to incur a 10% penalty in most cases. But even if you're not planning to retire before age 59 and a half, having a non-retirement account in your 60s and beyond can allow you to take advantage of an entirely different tax bracket called capital gains. In fact, my partner Anthony made a video on how you can pay 0% taxes on capital gains in retirement. I'll link to that in the description below, something you'll want to check out once you're done watching this video. In most cases, I will simply tell people they are not ready to retire until they've hit this third goal. And it's something I wish nobody had to deal with, but unfortunately, it's a sad reality for most Americans. Frankly, when people are in their 50s, you should not have any credit card debt. Ideally, you would have no other debt besides your mortgage. Honestly, the simple truth is you cannot build wealth by carrying credit card debt. And unfortunately, I sometimes hear from folks saying, well, I carry a balance on my credit card because I need a balance to be able to build credit and help out my credit score. And that is simply a myth, and it is not true. If you are going to be successful living without a paycheck in retirement, living without credit card debt is the first test to pass. Now, you've heard the saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Well, do you have a specific plan for your investments, or are you just kind of wishing they'll go up? Do you tend to adjust investments based upon current news and the cycle we're in? Either being way too conservative or being way too aggressive and not having any idea of what you're investing in is a bad idea. So if you're in your 50s, you should not be winging it anymore. You need an investment strategy that is backed by data and is historically supported. And that often means a well-defined investment plan that you can stick to even if your emotions tell you otherwise. Listen, we're all emotional beings. But if you have an investment plan that is well researched and it is written and you can stick with it consistently, you can succeed in the long term. And that is what you'll need in your 60s and in retirement. So start now. The fifth goal is something I see folks missing big time because it requires a lot of uncomfortable conversations. And so I'm gonna break this down into 3 different pieces. Now, number 1, not getting your estate plan done can be one of the most harmful things you will do to your children or the next generation. An estate plan is a set of documents that typically includes things like a living trust, a will, an advanced medical healthcare directive, and power of attorney. If something serious were to happen to you, or if you were to pass away without an estate plan in place, there's almost nothing worse you can do to your children and heirs than to not have your affairs in order. And often I find people are not completing estate plans for a few reasons. Either they don't understand the importance and the ramifications of not having a proper estate plan in place. Perhaps they don't have a good estate planning attorney and that they trust, and they don't want to pay somebody money to do this. Or the other option is they don't want to engage in estate planning because it typically involves some really uncomfortable conversations because it can surround things like end of life or if you're unable to take care of yourself. None of these are great excuses. And if you're in your 50s, you should have an estate plan. Secondly, ensure your beneficiary designations are accurate and up to date, which you commonly apply to things like insurance or retirement accounts. So make sure that if anything were to happen to you, that your money would go where you want. You don't want the state to be making decisions for you. And thirdly, make sure you have the proper insurance coverage in place, most notably life insurance. When you're in your 50s, you're typically in your peak earning years, and you may not be working for much longer, but you do need to protect the remaining time that you may be working from now until retirement. So you need to make sure that you have enough insurance to cover these prime earning years, but it doesn't have to be anything complicated, and you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get coverage. Oftentimes the best insurance that you can get is called term life insurance, which is very, very simple. Now, to reach financial independence, you need to be building a solid nest egg. And unless you plan to live exclusively off Social Security, or unless you have a massive pension that you'll be living off of, most people need to be putting money away for retirement. Now, when you're in your 50s, the clock to retirement is, it's getting closer. But the good news is that our current tax system actually allows you to set aside and invest even more money. And these are called catch-up contributions. That's why for most people in their 50s, you should be investing roughly 10 to 20% of your income and setting that aside for retirement. Now is the time to put your foot on the gas pedal and really finish strong to retirement. Okay, now let's shift to the second group of goals you should be hitting to have a massive impact on the quality of your retirement. So if I were to ask you the question, who are you? How would you answer that question? A lot of people will answer the question with their profession. So for example, if I ask you, who are you? Maybe you respond with, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm a manager at XYZ company, or I'm an engineer or a business owner. Of course, you're probably noticing that all these responses are merely titles or your profession. It doesn't speak to who you are as a person, the things that you enjoy, and the things that you're passionate about. So if you're in your 50s, more than ever, you need to be able to answer the question, who are you outside of work? Because ultimately, this is who you are going to be for the rest of your life when you are not at work. If you wait to address this at the time of retirement, this is when a lot of people experience a lack of fulfillment and actually get depressed in the early stages of retirement while they're still trying to figure out who they are. So if you're in your 50s, it's very likely you're fitting right into what we call the messy middle. You are in the sandwich generation. You might still be taking care of, some younger children who are still growing, but you are also caring for older and aging parents. By this time, if you have children, they're typically a bit older, and so you can begin to have money conversations with your children. You don't need to be getting into the weeds and the details of your personal finances, but help them understand your values and what you prioritize with money as it pertains to you as a family. And with older parents, this is an excellent time to have money conversations with them to ensure that they will have enough money to last their lifetime. If they needed additional care, do they have enough resources to cover all their needs? Or would you need to step in to help pay for some of that care? It's better to have these conversations now rather than waiting too long when things become an actual problem. So if you're in your 50s, begin having the money conversation both with the younger generation to help them be trained and be equipped, but also have that money conversation with your parents to ensure that they have enough for their needs. And if not, that you understand how much you may want to provide and if you are prepared for that. And of course, the simple truth is you don't want to be 1 or 2 years out from retirement and then start doing real planning. And unfortunately, at that point in time, it could be too late, right? So if you're in your 50s, you really need to have a retirement game plan. You need to be able to answer questions like, what do we need to do today to ensure that we are on track? Because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get, and sometimes it can be too late. But the good news is that if you are able to make adjustments earlier on, you may not need to make such large adjustments later. So let me give you an example. If you were to fly from JFK in New York to LAX in California, but your coordinates were just 1 degree off course, you'd end up 40 miles off into the Pacific Ocean. And often that 1 degree, it's so small, it's so unnoticeable until it's too late. And that's why we developed our retirement planning compass system. It's a thoughtful 7-step process that is constantly reviewed to ensure that you are able to stay on track. If you want to apply the principles of our compass system, make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss an update. Now, there are plenty of folks out there who want to do their own retirement planning, and they are fully equipped to be able to do that. And not everyone needs to hire a financial advisor for their retirement plan. There are also plenty of people that really should be hiring a financial advisor because the right advisor can help you invest wisely, provide tax strategies, and give you a comprehensive plan to help you ensure you never run out of money. But not all financial advisors are made equal, and finding the right one can be very difficult. But I put together a list of 9 questions everyone should ask a financial advisor to ensure they are of the highest quality and to make sure you are not getting scammed. You can check out that video right here. Once again, this is Alex Okugawa, partner and financial advisor here at 1 Degree Advisors. And if you're interested in learning more about how we help our clients gain confidence in their retirement, visit our website at onedegreeadvisors.com.